iPhone 17 has been at the center of a wave of leaks and rumors lately, with at least 10 major updates making the rounds. But here's the big question. Are these so-called upgrades truly adding value for users, or are they just strategic moves to keep consumers hooked in an increasingly competitive market? Are you ready? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell to stay updated on the latest tech news. Let's start with what seems like a recurring strategy from Apple, refreshing the lineup through color changes. This year, they're reportedly testing 2 new color options for the standard iPhone 17, purple and green. From what we're hearing, purple is the front runner. Now sure, new colors are fun, they catch the eye, but do they really matter? In the world of tech, color should be an accent, not a headline feature. But somehow, Apple's making it one. If the purple shade ends up replacing or just adding to the current palette, it's hard to argue that it changes the user experience in any meaningful way. Over on the Pro side, a sky blue version inspired by the M4 MacBook Air is also rumored, and while it could look nice, again, it's just a visual tweak, nothing more. Now onto a much more controversial change, the display. According to reports, the iPhone 17 and 17 Air models will come with a fixed 120Hz refresh rate screen instead of the ProMotion LTPO tech found in the Pro models that allows for adaptive refresh between 1Hz and 120Hz. On paper, 120Hz sounds slick. It reads like a spec sheet win. But in practice, it could be a serious step backward. First off, running 120Hz constantly will drain the battery faster. And second, it likely means no always-on display, a now standard feature in high-end Android phones and recent iPhones. So instead of elevating the experience, Apple may just be slapping on a higher number for the sake of it, not for real usability. This gets even more concerning when you consider that the iPhone 17 Air, reportedly designed to be ultra-thin, is said to have only a 2800 mAh battery. That's shockingly low for a large screen phone in 2025. Some folks are holding out hope for new battery tech like silicon carbon, but let's be honest, mass production of that tech at a consumer level still isn't viable. So if Apple sticks with traditional lithium ion, that small battery paired with a power-hungry display could turn the 17 Air into a device that can barely make it through half a day, the complete opposite of what the Plus lineup used to stand for. What's even more surprising is the price. The iPhone 17 Air is expected to launch at $899, same as the current iPhone 15 Plus. That's a steep tag for a phone that might offer less in terms of battery life, display tech, and key features. Apple may be trying to redefine the mid-tier segment, making the Air more about size, weight, and aesthetics, but is that enough to make up for what users might lose? It's a tough sell. And it doesn't stop there. We've also heard that Apple plans to shrink the dynamic island across the entire iPhone 17 lineup. Now, on the surface, smaller might sound better. But here's the catch. Dynamic island still isn't being fully utilized by most apps. So if all Apple's doing is shrinking the cutout without improving what it actually does, that's just changing the frame on a feature that's still waiting for its spotlight moment. One of the most debated rumors, though, is that Apple might reduce the optical zoom on the iPhone 17 Pro from 5x to 3.5x. The reason? Supposedly to improve portrait shots. But at a time when Samsung, Oppo, and Vivo are pushing the limits with 10x optical zoom or more, this move feels out of step. Sure, Apple could use the new 48MP sensor to crop in and simulate higher zoom levels, but let's be honest, digital zoom is never going to beat real optics. It just isn't. So is this really a smart trade-off? Or is it Apple subtly cutting corners to push more users toward the Pro Max? Now, speaking of specs, the A19 Pro chip is shaping up to be a monster. Early benchmarks show a 10-15% boost over the A18 Pro, with single-core scores above 4,000 and multi-core hitting over 10,000. Built on TSMC's 3nm Generation 3 process, this chip should be more powerful and more efficient. But here's the thing, raw power doesn't always translate to better user experience. Unless Apple pairs it with real AI innovations or new pro-level features, the A19 Pro risks being just another number impressive on paper, but barely noticeable in day-to-day use. Let's not forget, Many users couldn't even tell the difference between A17 and A18 in practice. Another thing that caught attention recently was a leak found in iOS 26 beta wallpapers, pointing to a screen resolution of 2736 x 1000, 260 for the iPhone 17 Air, right between the current 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. That's technically an upgrade, but is it meaningful? Without improvements to the display tech itself, like ProMotion or higher peak brightness, and if other hardware is being scaled down, then this is probably more of a marketing trick than a real step forward. Now here's some rare good news. Apple might finally introduce vapor chamber cooling on the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. And honestly, it's about time. With the push toward AI processing, 8K video, and heavy multitasking, better thermal management is a must. But it also begs the question, why did it take Apple this long? Especially when Android manufacturers have had vapor cooling for years. Along with this, we're hearing that Apple might swap out titanium frames for aluminum in the 17 Pro, supposedly to improve heat dissipation. Technically, aluminum does conduct heat better than titanium, but let's be real, this move might also feel like a downgrade in terms of premium feel. Titanium has become a symbol of durability and luxury. Replacing it with aluminum might not sit well with users, no matter the technical justification. And finally, let's talk pricing strategy, the part that hits where it hurts. At $899, the iPhone 17 Air isn't exactly budget friendly. But with what looks like trimmed down battery, downgraded display tech, and fewer flagship features, it might not live up to the value proposition we've come to expect from a Plus replacement. At that price, buyers could easily consider a powerful Android flagship or even an older iPhone Pro that delivers more across the board. This may be the clearest sign yet of Apple's evolving product philosophy. They're not just selling devices anymore, they're selling product identity and pushing users into carefully segmented choices. In the end, the iPhone 17 lineup feels more like a collection of tactical moves than a clear strategic leap. Sure, there are some genuine upgrades, new chips, better cooling, but there are just as many question marks. Lower battery capacity, compromised zoom, weird pricing decisions. So at this point, the real question isn't, should you upgrade? But rather, what kind of iPhone user is Apple trying to shape you into this time? And perhaps the biggest question of all, is the iPhone 17 really for you? Or is it just another psychological nudge, this time wrapped in aluminum instead of titanium?